Latin America has been quite the hot destination in recent years for folks who want better investment opportunities, potentially lower taxes, and more adventurous lifestyle that's not too far from home. And today I'm going to share with you 5 affordable beachfront opportunities in Latin America. Latin America has actually been one of the better performing parts of my portfolio in the last couple of months, partially as we've seen currencies in that part of the world rebounding. And so when I found this article in International Living, 3 places where beach property is cheap, I wanted to share these Latin destinations with you, as well as 2 of my own. International Living talks about how most of us dream of owning a beach property where we can ride out the cold winters back home, enjoy beach living year-round, or even as a bolt hole for a few weeks at a time. And the good news, they say, is that in some places, your dream beach home costs a lot less than you might think. We're going to go through some of their locations and mine. I'm Andrew Henderson. I'm the founder of Nomad Capitalist. If it's your first time here, we're a boutique consultancy that helps 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally reduce their tax rate overseas, legally protect their assets, and increase their options, whether it's by having a second passport that can come from making an investment in one of these countries, or just the diversification of owning the property itself. I'm also the host of the biggest and best conference in the offshore space called Nomad Capitalist Live. And let's just start with their first place on this list of cheap beachfront property. These are all in Latin America. San Juan del Sur, Nicaragua. Interesting place. We've had a couple of wealthy clients of ours move to Nicaragua in the last couple of years because they felt this is freedom. I'm going to be left alone. The government's not going to bother me. And I've been to San Juan del Sur. It is an interesting place with numerous different beaches as you kind of go to the coast. It is certainly not Newport Beach. It is certainly not someplace that is highly developed. It is certainly coming up. You've got expat communities. You've got more local communities. You can choose where you want to be. But, since when I was there, you had beachfront land that was actually pretty darn affordable, and I almost feel like I was a little bit late to the party. So they say San Juan del Sur is a quirky and colorful beach town on the Pacific coast of Nicaragua. It's very affordable. You can find a 1-bedroom, 1-bath casita just 5 minutes from the beach for $85,000 with rustic wood beams, a winding staircase up the bedroom that give it a quaint country look. And, San Juan del Sur, very authentic, great fish tacos, just great local vibe. Nicaragua in general, very affordable residence permit in Central America. You can work towards citizenship if you're actually living there. They've got very flexible foreigner-friendly tax laws. It is certainly, again, not as developed as, let's say, next door Costa Rica. That's part of why it's so affordable. But I think you are seeing more people buying up property there. You are seeing a lot more people from the US and Canada going and retiring in Latin America, whether it's Nicaragua or elsewhere. And this could potentially be a place to get in, maybe not quite at the ground floor anymore, but at a very low floor in the building. And it's a very nice part of Nicaragua. I have had my own run-ins in Nicaragua, mainly in the capital city. But if you want to live on the coast, I think probably the nicest part of the coast is down in San Juan del Sur south, kind of near the Costa Rican border, a little bit cooler, a little bit more temperate than, let's say, up in the north, Leon, Chinandega, what have you. So San Juan del Sur came in at number 1. Number 2 is Santa Marta, Colombia. Now, as you know, I am a fan of Colombia. I spent part of my year there, own a property there, and in turn, have residence there. And so what I love about Latin America is you can, in many cases, simply buy a property. In some cases, simply show that you have money and you could buy a property, and you can get a residence permit. And in the case of Colombia, they're more flexible on how much time that you need to actually live there. We help our clients, locate properties in Colombia that they can use to qualify for residence, and then maybe they, as International Living says, build a bolt hole. You don't have to spend all your time in your affordable beach property overseas. I think you could potentially have a beach property for 2 weeks a year, knowing then when you go back to your home country, if things get bad enough in your home country, you're going to go and live in San Juan del Sur or Santa Marta, at least until you figure out your next move. So, these prices are affordable enough that you can buy a bolt hole, get the residence, potentially be working towards citizenship, and then just use it as a vacation home. Maybe you rent it out when you're not there, maybe you don't. But the idea that, is you don't have to move there every winter. You don't have to, live there year round. In Nicaragua, you could live there year-round. You could have decent tax benefits when structured properly. Colombia, less so. So Colombia is going to be a place where you're more focused on the residence aspect, on the lifestyle, but not a full-time deal if you're trying to reduce your taxes. So kind of in contrast of Nicaragua. But Santa Marta, I think, is underrated. When people look at the Caribbean, Colombia has a Caribbean coast that is much cheaper, partially because it's Colombia. Even though we've been talking about how there's a stigma, I think the stigma has somewhat been going away, but there's still some stigma there and just kind of the general population. So you're going to get lower prices. And of course, you're getting lower prices because you're not buying on the Caribbean that's actually an island, where it's harder to get materials to. You actually have a large domestic economy in Colombia where you can get things locally, even more so than Nicaragua. And so they say of Santa Marta is pressed between the Caribbean Sea and the snow-capped Sierra Nevada. Mountain lies Santa Marta, Colombia's oldest surviving city. It's 500,000 residents, half the size of the more well-known Cartagena. But don't let size fool you. It's quickly becoming a sought-after destination for tourists and retirees. A 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 925 square foot, about 85 square meter apartment on the 5th floor with balcony parking, 24-hour security, which is par for the course in Colombia. Sauna and swimming pool can be bought fully furnished for $86,000. Admin fees at just $88 a month. And utilities at $115 a month. They say living here is expensive. One thing you'll notice, especially if you're coming from like Canada, where you have the school taxes and crazy property taxes, yeah, I mean, admin fees, $1,000 a year. Property taxes, if anything, I mean, very, very low. Colombia, affordable place to be. You can get a residence permit, as in Nicaragua. If you want to be on the beach, Cartagena is an option, but a lot of people who go to Colombia don't really like Cartagena that much. I mean, Barranquilla is not really an option. Santa Marta, that's one that stands out for a lot of people, including if you're interested in kind of lifestyle, sporting, that kind of stuff. Number 3 on their list is Salinas, Ecuador. They call it Ecuador's largest coastal resort, which offers one of the country's best real estate investment markets and the most popular, most upscale, for Ecuador that is, beach lifestyle. Now, a lot of folks who are looking at beaches overlook Ecuador, or they go to Ecuador and they're not as impressed. I do think that some of the beaches in Ecuador are underwhelming when compared to all the opportunities in all of Latin America. Salinas is perhaps maybe one of the more developed ones. They say they sometimes call it Little Miami Beach because of the plethora of white, mid, and high-rise condominiums that sprout from the sand and curve around a crescent bay. Then again, except for the sun, sand, and surf, it's really nothing like Miami. Permanent population of less than 40,000. That swells to $100,000 on holidays when you can get a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo, same kind of deal, $84,000. But it's close enough that you still have an ocean view from the rooftop jacuzzi. Yes, your own rooftop jacuzzi. So Ecuador, if you were to buy that $84,000 apartment or even something less expensive, you could get residence there as well. And that could also, with some presence in the country, lead towards citizenship. And so any of these passports, by the way, Ecuador, Colombia, Nicaragua, not bad passports, maybe a little bit different and valuable to certain kinds of people. But you might think if you're coming from Western country, oh, who would want to have that passport? I think they're a pretty valuable addition to a portfolio, quite frankly, and especially down in South America, they give you a greater level of access to the whole continent for the most part. In Central America, like Nicaragua, you have a certain level of access to the Central American Four. So you can buy properties, as you can see here, for under $100,000. And you can get residence, you can potentially get the path to citizenship, you can live near the beach, you can reduce your cost of living, and with the exception of Colombia, you can live there a good chunk of the year and either pay zero or pay somewhat minimal taxes. With Ecuador, there's certainly some more tax structuring. I would add on to that Roatan in Honduras. It is an island in the Caribbean where you can buy affordable property. Roatan has been popular with, again, kind of the sporting types, people like diving, for example. And Honduras also offers residence options. You can spend time there. They have moderate tax rates. There may be some tax benefits, especially if you have capital gains. And you can work towards citizenship by living there. You can live on the English-speaking, Creole English-speaking, but English-speaking nevertheless, part of Honduras that is detached from the crime that is unfortunately present in mainland Honduras. You're kind of far away from all of that. And you have a lot of the benefits of kind of an expat haven if you're looking for something that's a fraction of the price of the Caymans, Turks and Caicos, what have you. What I would also add is lots of different destinations along the beach in Mexico. We've been talking to folks who are in Ixtapa, people who are in Puerto Vallarta, people who are in Los Cabos, Riviera Maya. Lots of people flocking to those areas in Mexico. So Mexico, obviously a huge country, much bigger than Nicaragua, Ecuador, even Colombia. Huge coastline, so many opportunities on both the Pacific side and within the Gulf of Mexico, the Yucatan, for example. You have areas, like in the Yucatan, that are some of the safest places in Latin America. And while Mexico requires you, if you're a foreigner, to use a bank trust to own property that's on the water, you can get a residence permit in Mexico, whether you're making an investment or whether you simply have some money in the bank or whether you simply have an income, and you can work towards, if you're willing to be there, you're willing to live there, live in your property, you can work towards citizenship, which obviously then expands your options. Mexico, like Colombia, not the most tax-friendly country. There are strategies that you can use to include it in your portfolio of residences, citizenships, property, what have you. And you can use a country for what you're trying to accomplish, right? If you want to go down to Mexico and invest some money, maybe you don't live there full time if you're a high-level entrepreneur investor, but maybe you live somewhere else and you go there in the winter, as they suggest. Maybe it's a bolt hole. Maybe you use it because you believe that Mexico is up and coming, and because out of all those passports that we mentioned, Mexico's is the best. And quite frankly, if you don't care about visiting the United States, not that much worse than a U.S. passport in terms of its utility. And so those are 5 affordable beach destinations around Latin America. They're worth taking a look at because with property prices sky high right now in many Western countries, you can not only get a great value here. By the way, imagine what you could get for $500,000. Imagine what you could get for $1 million in some of these markets. Maybe less liquidity in a place like Ecuador. But you can buy as much property as you want. You can diversify your cash. For many people, property that you own in your own name overseas that you're not renting out is simply not reportable. This is not tax advice. Certainly something you should look into. But it could be a good asset protection tool, good asset diversification tool, a good bolt hole to give you a place to go. Maybe you spend your winters there. Maybe it's, again, just a vacation place. And you know that you've got a place to go, which is going to mean that when times get tough in your own country, when they start pushing the envelope too much, taking too much of your money, imposing too many restrictions, you'll already have a place to go. And in the meantime, you can get residence and you can work towards citizenship in any of these places to build your international diversification. You've got a number of wins in any of these 5 places.